Trump. I really don't like him.
But if you had a do-over tomorrow and you had to pick again between Trump and Harris, what would you do?
I would still do Trump.
Elon Musk of Doge.
Rancher who has voted for Trump 3 times shares concerns. Listen, I didn't understand. I thought USAID was doing gay shit. I didn't realize they were responsible for purchasing all my grain and shipping it to Somalia. It turns out the billions of dollars spent on USAID wasn't just on homosexual Marxism in Guatemala. A big part of it was purchasing my grain. All of a sudden, I got a $700,000 hole in my budget. Turns out it was aiding me as well.
Doge has another message for federal workers who don't respond to an email they received over the weekend asking them to justify their jobs or lose them. The deadline for that email was at midnight. But earlier today, the Office of Personnel Management said a response was, quote, not mandatory. And just before airtime, Musk posted this.
Like, the thing I'm the most jealous of always is the fact that Republicans get to do this. Like, they can just cause instability because any kind of trajectory change is going to cause instability, okay? It's going to be a little chaotic in the interim. But Republicans get to do it for all of the worst reasons. Because if you think, like, obviously changing the American healthcare structure and like the abolition of for-profit privatized health insurance is not going to be chaotic, you're wrong. Of course it's going to be chaotic, right? In the interim, there is going to be chaos. But it's for a good purpose, okay? It's for every American citizen getting healthcare. That's a good thing. Republicans get to do all of this shit, and they do it in the opposite direction, in a way that harms Americans. And they still get to do it. And they don't even get to suffer the repercussions instantly. I hate it. I'm jealous. I'm just genuinely jealous.
This, quote, subject to the discretion of the president, they will be given another chance. Failure to respond a second time will result in termination. A month into the administration, Trump voters seem to be paying attention.
How does getting rid of useless government employees cause harm? Brother, the left can't stop appealing to emotions. Oh, my Lord, dude. Who are you arguing against? Oh, thank God we got hogs in here. Okay, do not ban this person. Useless government employees is a lie that was told to you. You just lapped it up because it's your guy saying the lie. If you had ever actually encountered my commentary while the Democrats were in charge, I, unlike many of my Republican counterparts, didn't allow the Democrats to just get away with lying, okay? I routinely criticize them, as I am criticizing the Republican Party right now. The difference between you and I, however, is that when the party that you align with tells you something, you believe it. That's the problem. Politicians lie. Newsflash, okay? Yeah, if they were getting rid of useless government employees, you would be correct, okay? There would still be financial harm there, obviously, because the government should be a jobs program, okay? I always voted Democrat, homie. I don't care who you voted for, dumbass. You obviously believe what the fuck the Trump administration is saying. That is the problem. It doesn't matter if you voted Democrat or Republican. What matters is you obviously believe the propaganda. You think that the government is currently getting rid of useless government employees. That is not the case. Even if they were getting rid of useless government employees, there's obviously still an argument to be made about how we should have all of these jobs. We should have more jobs in the government. Okay, the government should offer more jobs programs to American individuals. Everyone should have a job. But that's not the case anyway, because that's not how the American government operates regardless. We have consistently cut government employees, even though the population has increased year over year. That's why the peak of the government employees was in the 90s. We've had a lower number of federal government employees since the 90s, despite the fact that our population has increased. The government jobs, on the other hand, have not increased alongside that. When you say, oh, they're firing useless government employees, you're falling for the propaganda and the lies that the Republican administration is currently telling. That is precisely the reason why when they go back and actually fire thousands of federal employees, like probationary employees, for example, they have to go, oopsie, I guess we fucked up. Like, for example, I'll give you 2 examples, okay? 2 examples of where they had to go back instantly. Number 1, the Department of Energy. You think they're doing, I don't know, gay, like climate change subsidies or something. But the Department of Energy actually also controls the American nuclear arsenal. So when they did these mass cuts without actually looking at who they were cutting, They ended up firing the people that control the nukes. So they had to go back and be like, oh shit, we fucked up. Can you please come back? Another example I can give you in terms of federal government employees that they fired was when they went in and fired the people that were actually overseeing the current avian flu. When you go to the goddamn store right now and there are no eggs, you can't buy any goddamn eggs. And I need eggs because I need the protein. The reason for why you can't get those eggs is because of the avian flu, okay? It's ripping through our egg supply. How do you fire the guys who are tasked with trying to stop the spread of the bird flu when there is a major inflationary crisis? Think. That's precisely why they went back and they were like, oops, we fucked up. Let's hire these guys back. I'm so sick of telling my family members about Trump's ridiculous statement of the day and then having them immediately go, oh, he must have been quoted out of context. There's going to be a lot of that in the interim, okay? There's going to be a lot of people that just hold on to the notion that Donald Trump is Donald Trump is doing great things. Because for a lot of Americans, the reason why they voted for Donald Trump is because of the deep resentment that they feel towards the government that hasn't helped them at all. So they're like, yeah, let's break things. Let's break things and rebuild them. Surely it will be better. So if you're used to nothing, ever changing and your conditions getting worse and worse, then all of a sudden this guy is doing something, right? Before you recognize that the something that they did is harming you, in the process of doing those things, people will go, yeah, it's not too bad that we're shaking things up. Fuck the government. This is what happens after decades of neoliberalism. People develop a deep resentment towards the federal government. People don't think the government actually has their back. People don't think that the government is actually working to make their lives better and more stable, especially because a lot of the things that the federal government does is invisible. It's supposed to be invisible. Why the fuck would you ever care about the National Weather Service? You don't even think about it. You go, oh, the weather app is just showing me what's going on. They don't realize the hundreds of millions of dollars that go into climate scientists like constantly and the American Army and the Air Force flying around trying to figure out what's happening with weather patterns. You don't think about food safety inspections and regulation that goes into play. You just go to the supermarket and you purchase a slab of beef without having to ever consider all of the federal government initiatives that took place that ensure that the meat that you're eating is not going to kill you. That is a measure, a safety measure that is invisible. And also it's a safety measure that actually harms the bottom line of corporations who would much rather sell you poisonous meat. Okay? Until it goes away, you will never understand how the federal government was making your lives better. The worst part of this process, however, is that if there's no one communicating how the federal government is actually making your lives better in the most invisible ways possible, then you're just kind of lost. You're lost. You're like, oh, I don't know. I guess like we just haven't fired enough trans people. That's probably the reason why. We just have to keep doing it over and over again.
Into the cuts, the threats. John King tonight has a new all over the map report from Colorado.
The Spoma Ranch spans more than 100 acres, home to 60 horses, and one last bison.
This little guy down here, his name is Trouble.
A bit ornery at times.
Aw.
Yes, trouble.
You know, it's like Trump. I really don't like him as a person. I think he's arrogant, kind of a jerk, but
David Hayes is a funny man.
I tried farming for a while, and I would rather get run over by a bison, you know.
The Northern Colorado Ranch has been in his family since the 1880s. The White House and Washington are far away.
We got like hot dogs.
Yes, Hayes wants the government shrunk, but he doesn't see a coherent plan. And he doesn't trust Elon Musk, doesn't believe what he says, doesn't want Trump letting Musk poke around Social Security or tax files.
I don't know how many people he's fired. And, you know, Musk keeps saying, well, I found $1 billion of waste here. And Social Security, there's hundreds and hundreds of people that are collecting it that are between 100 years old and 150. Can you believe any of that crap? You can't substantiate it, you can't believe it. So that's a trust issue.
A blue-collar rural guy in one of the nation's most competitive congressional districts. A 3-time Trump voter who calls the president unfocused and arrogant. But Democrats should hold the celebration. But if you had a do-over tomorrow and you had to pick again between Trump and Harris, what would you do?
I would still do Trump.
So a conservative independent, is that fair?
Very conservative independent, yes.
So would Esmeralda Ramirez-Ray. She smiles when asked about Trump's frenetic first month.
I voted for that. I love it.
What did you vote for?
I voted for a president that was going to put America first. I voted for a president that was going to secure our borders. And I voted for a president that was going to make sure that we were respected throughout the world. And I believe I'm getting that.
Greeley is the northern edge of Colorado's 8th, a congressional district that is 40% Hispanic.
Dude, Americans make it so hard to feel bad for them while they're staring down the precipice of their demise. Like every step of the way, American exceptionalists and American individualists will just come out and just say the dumbest shit on the planet. And you're just like, okay, well, I give up. You know, I give up. What do you want me to do? You could have like Gestapo breaking down your door to put you to the work camps and you'd still be like, nah, it was a good thing I did that. You know, we really got to get some hard work around these parts.
And has a significant undocumented population. Ramirez-Ray is a court interpreter for defendants who don't speak English. She agrees with Trump that some who cross the border illegally are violent criminals, but she wishes he would add that the overwhelming majority are good people.
I was raised as a migrant worker working in the fields. Those are the people that are out there picking their crops. So even though I support Trump, I don't believe that he's the end-all, be-all savior of humanity. Nobody is.
Now this one, we've had Canadian hoser for a long time before all this stuff came up. Right. Well, the fights with American and Canadian hockey players and everything.
Like Hayes, Todd Waffle says Trump can be arrogant and pompous, but like Ramirez-Ray, he's a fan of the early pace.
I like him going full speed. Let's get things done. Let's find out if the policies work, they don't work. But yeah, this is the baby Bruin system. Boil it up there.
Waffle started Satire Brewing 7 years ago. Business is good, and he constantly debates expanding. But a plan to boost sales by adding canning machines is on hold because of Trump tariffs on aluminum.
When you fly enough, you understand, buckle your seatbelt, turbulence ahead.
Waffle's approach is a trademark of many Trump voters. Accept the things that make you cringe to get the things you want, like a better economy and a stronger border.
Trump's going to say what he's going to say. And yeah, some of it's going to be exaggerated, some are not going to be true. But at the end of the day, I think you got to, sift through all that. Is he going to get things done? Is he going to get the country moving the right way?
Let go right in front of your eyes.
I mean, I've told you that this is literally the overarching attitude from Republicans right now. He's just getting things done, He's just a crazy guy, but he's taking a mallet to the goddamn federal government, and I hate the federal government because I've been told it doesn't do nothing, and all of the things that it does do are invisible, so I don't care, Fuck it, deregulate, okay? Destroy the administrative state, brother, I don't care. They don't realize the consequences of Donald Trump's mallet to the administrative state. They don't realize it. And also, they like that he's doing something, anything. And they're dumb enough to think that Trump is destroying woke and that woke has actually destroyed their lives, I guess.
Just like that.
Austin Jenkins voted for lower taxes and less regulation. That would help his small businesses, including his cocktail bar and the Greeley Hatchet House.
You seemed like the lesser of two evils, in my opinion.
But Jenkins finds the first month unsettling. Not a fan of tariffs or executive orders by the dozens or Musk popping from agency to agency.
I thought there's supposed to be checks and balances somewhere.
So where do I want to let go? Shoulder height?
Right in front of your eyes. So,
dude, everyone is a liberal at the end of the day. It's amazing. He said, I thought there were checks and balances. Everyone's a liberal, baby. Let's go. Everyone's a goddamn liberal. What about our institutions? All the petty bourgeois for these interviews is interesting. Yeah, all of our glorious small business owners, dude.
Plus, he sees fear in the Latino community, wishes Trump would find a more compassionate way to improve border security.
I think there's a better way to go about it. I don't know if it's necessarily just force them out.
Trump, of course, won't be on the ballot next election, but this district will help decide.
You never know.
Whether Republicans keep their tiny House majority.
The cost of living's getting crazy here in Colorado.
My cousin shed literal tears of joy when he didn't have to put pronouns in his email signature anymore for the DOD. He was a probationary employee for the DOD and was let go last week. Well, that's another way to eliminate putting pronouns in your email, in your work email, don't you think? If you don't have a work email any longer because you don't have a job. Maybe he was semi-fired, okay? Maybe he was semi-fired and he'll keep working for free, I guess. I don't know. But like, this is what I mean when I say it's so hard. It's so hard to maintain my across the board, I care about all workers attitude when these guys are literally begging for their own demise. Yeah, new pronouns, unemployed. It's hard, man. It's hard. I saw a tweet from an account that Elon Musk had recently retweeted about healthcare being a secret way to bring about communism and death and destruction. Whoa, free cheese. And then everybody sees poverty and death and destruction under socialism and go, whoa, free healthcare. People unironically believe this shit, okay?
And I hope that they would have some kind of an impact on helping that.
So, John, of all the Trump supporters you spoke with, some had complaints or at least unease about the president's first month back in office. Should the president be concerned?
Well, he should listen to them, Anderson, certainly. You do see some evidence today with the Trump administration backing off that Musk email to federal employees as perhaps evidence they are listening. Look, Trump voters, they understand there's a price of admission, some of the chaos, some of the other things. But what they most voted for was lower prices and a secure border. That half of the Trump voters we talked to complained about Musk, worried that he has too long of a leash. That's pretty interesting. Normally, people complain about Trump's tone, not so much about what he's doing. So if you're the president, you want to keep an eye on that. But the bigger risk is that, look, Trump's not on the ballot. 2 years from now, House Republicans will be and Senate Republicans will be. The district we were in is one of the most competitive districts in the country. It is very evenly divided.
Yeah, I can't wait for the Democrats to like try and secure a marginal victory so they can do virtually nothing. And still say, oh, we'll do bipartisan compromise with our newfound majority, if that even happens, by the way.
Swing voters or soft Trump voters think that Trump and Musk and Republicans in Congress are off doing other things like wandering into federal agencies or looking at the Social Security records and not lowering costs and worrying about the border. The Republicans could pay the price. So we'll keep going back to this district. We're only a month in. I wouldn't shoot up any flares yet if you're the Trump political team. But when your own voters are starting to complain, you should listen.